What's up, everybody? Matt back with another spring practice update here for March 7th. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter show than usual, as we got a lot of those teams. We talked about them on Monday's show, so I definitely suggest you check that out. There hasn't been a whole lot of other teams. I mean, there's a lot that kicked off today. Unfortunately, not a lot of news coming out of those, like the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Ohio kicked off today. They didn't really have much you could report on. Kansas State didn't have much. Northwestern did go back and look at some of the ones from the six, and we're going to start there with Kentucky. Devin Leary is leaning all in this new offense, and he is enjoying at least just being back out on the practice field. For those of you guys who know, left last season with an injury, but now is getting to play in this offense. Then bringing him back. The offensive coordinator, his name just jumped in my head, went to the Rams, but he came back. The big thing is Barian Brown and Dane Key. So both of them have added a little bit of weight. I could not find a confirmed weight for Barian Brown, but it was rumored that he put on about 5 or 6 pounds. Dane Key only put on 2. But they said they wanted to put on a little bit more weight to play more physical against these SEC defenses. And last but not least, my guy, Ray Davis. Ray Davis looks to be the leader in the room. He was praised today by head coach Stoops and just the leader he's already become in the short time he's been at Kentucky, and his story, his perseverance through all these injuries. He has not solidified the starting job yet. That has been stated, but they do like where he's going. I think he is eventually going to end up taking that job. We're going to move on over to Mississippi State, where they are also getting used to a new coaching staff, new offense. They didn't do a ton today, as a lot of looked like unpadded practice. Will Rogers is the confirmed guy in there. He is going to be the starter. You had the Vanderbilt transfer, Mike Wright, has pretty much secured himself as a 2 with Chris Parson, who is there, highly touted freshman, fairly highly rated for us in our freshman supplemental guide. He is at least right now the 3, but he is there. He is practicing. They have said that he has looked good. They did release some depth chart stuff for at least what the beginning of spring is going to look like. So I'm going to give you guys that. At running back, it looks like Jaquavius Marks is going to be the starter, with Simeon Price as the 2, Jeffrey Pittman as the 3, and then freshman Seth Davis right now sitting as the 4. Going over to the wide receiver position, at the X, you have Jordan Mosley, followed by Jaden Wally, Janoris Hobson, and then freshman Justin Brown. At the Y, you have Leadrick Griffin, Rufus Harvey, and Creed Whitmore. And at the Z, Justin Robinson, Xavion Thomas, and Jacoby Belazar. Moving over to Oregon State. These last 2 I'm really excited to talk about. You guys know how big a fan I was of, or you probably don't know if you're listening to this. If you've paid attention to our channel, you know that I've been a big fan of Aidan Chiles, the highly, at least in my opinion, highly touted freshman that Oregon State was able to sign, one of their highest rated players that they have ever been able to get. He has already making waves in spring practice, and I absolutely love it. So obviously DJU is there as well. Ben Branson was actually taking all the snaps with the ones, but DJU came in, looked good. He did, as I'm just letting you guys know, this is the reports. So the ball was flying out of his hands at times, really looked good. But when they got to 11 on 11s, he struggled. He started running excessively and had multiple overthrows. But did have a touchdown pass to Zach Card, but Zach Card dropped it. So we'll give him, possible touchdown there. But as stated here, when they got to 11 on 11s, he was just running. Like he would almost seeing ghost out there kind of thing. The defense was because he just started running and just really wasn't doing much, but was also running with the 2s. I should point that out. There was with the 2s, not with the 1s. That was Ben Branson. Did struggle, as I mentioned, a little bit earlier. Aidan Chiles. Now, he was with the 3s, so take that for what it was worth. He is the highest rated freshman quarterback that they have been able to get in Corvallis since Derek Anderson. He was considered the most impressive quarterback of the 3 on the day. If you're just looking at the eye test, they thought he looked good. He is still 17 years old, so you could argue should still be in high school. Did run with the 3s on 11-11 and on 7-on-7s, but had the best pass of the day, which was a 55-yard bomb to the player we just talked about dropping a pass with DJU and Zach Card, which was actually the only touchdown of the day for all 3 quarterbacks. Right now, the listed depth charts is you have Ben Branson as the starting quarterback. Jam Griffin is their starting running back currently. John Newmore, Josiah Irish, and Silas Bolden are all listed with the first team wide receivers. Second team was DJU, as I mentioned, Isaiah Newell, and then at wide receiver, Trevor Pope, Jeremiah Noga, and Mr. Muniagi. I don't know how to say his first name. And then obviously, as I mentioned, third team, you had Aidan Chiles at quarterback. Recchi at running back. Zach Card was there at the wide receiver, the main guy there. It looks like Damian Martinez out. They did not specify how long he was going to be out of spring, but did want to just mention that. I did forget there is another team that I am going to talk about really quick. This is not one of my favorite two teams. The two would have been Oregon State, and I will end this show with Ohio State. Clemson. Clemson kicked off yesterday. Cade Klubnik looks really good, according to all these reports, and they're really excited about continuing to work in this Riley offense and everything. It seems like Dabo is full hands off, which I'll give him credit for. He has been. He's not a coordinator. He is a CEO type coach. But both Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator, had a ton of great things to say about Cade Klubnik, and Cade Klubnik that reciprocated that back on the offense that they're going to be running. And he looked good and poised. In 11 on 11s, there was a couple moments where he got pressured. They're struggling. The offensive line, as of right now, looks like it's still struggling. When the defense was able to get to Cade Klubnik, instead of him trying to force something like he did earlier last year, he threw the ball away, which was praised by both Dabo Swinney and Garrett Riley. On the opposite side of that, looks like backup quarterback, at least of the day, running with the twos, Christopher Vizina, the highly touted freshman, took multiple sacks. He was not throwing the ball away. Not much else there. There wasn't really any talk about the wide receivers or running backs. There wasn't a ton to report on here for Clemson, but at least it was good to see, Cade Klubnik taking that step up. We expect him to have a really good year with Garrett Riley coming over there. Last but not least, I've got to talk about Ohio State. I mean, just a massive bunch of news notes, and I'm going to the phone for this one, so apologies if I continue looking down, because a lot of this stuff I have saved on my phone. So the main thing to take away here, Julian Fleming and Mecca Egbuka are out for all of spring. They are completely out, both with injuries. So you're going to get a shot, or at least these wide receivers are going to get a shot. These guys from last year, those 2022 class, specifically Keon Grace, who we at Campus of Canton were very high on, they got a shot now to kind of solidify themselves in that second role. And then some of the freshmen. Now, I will mention Brandon Ennis, whom I love. I think this kid's phenomenal. I think he's going to be the next JSN here at Ohio State. He is not there. American Heritage does not allow for like the early graduations, I believe. It's something with American Heritage that did not allow him to graduate early, so he is not with the team. But Bryson Rogers, Noah Rogers, and Carnell Tate are, and they all got chances to play today. So the ones today, at X was Marvin Harrison Jr., at Z was Jaden Ballard, and then in the slot was Xavier Johnson, who we saw, being mixed in the slot and running back in some big moments last year. The other wide receivers to run at X today were Caleb Brown, in this order: Caleb Brown, Bryson Rogers, and then Reed Stockdale. So Bryson Rogers, who is the lowest rated of all the freshman wide receivers, getting in as technically the third guy there at the X. At Z, Noah Rogers was first behind Jaden Ballard. That, I think, should be pointed out. I mean, he's jumped, including Keon Graves, who we were high on. Keon Graves was running with the threes. Noah Rogers was running with the twos. I don't know if Ohio State is going to switch back to this hockey lineup wide receiver shift that they've done at times, but I do think that's big to see. Week one, practice one, Noah Rogers is the two at Z. Now, he'll likely be the three once Mecca is back, but still just pointing out that that's a big deal for him right now. And then at slot, it went Kojo Antwi, Caleb Burton, who I'm going to touch on in a minute, and then lastly, Carnell Tate. Caleb Burton, I liked him a lot coming out of high school. Now, in his junior year, he tore up his knee. It was just reported in ACL, but there were rumors that it was more than that. Looked like he lost a step in speed his senior year. Did some special team stuff early on in spring last year, but really never got a chance to see the field Reports were while running routes today that he was running around and he heard a pop in his knee. That is obviously not good. Hoping and praying for the best, as this kid has dealt with a ton of injury in his young career and had a ton of. At one point in time, this guy was the number one wide receiver in the 2022 class. Like, that's how good he was. To see him kind of deal with these injuries, it just sucks. And so I really hope that he's able to bounce back. Travion Henderson is out for all of spring as well, dealing with the foot surgery. So it was Mayan Williams, Chip Trayanum, and Dallin Hayden running. Those were the order that they ran in. Chip still running with the running backs. Big to see as he came over technically to be a linebacker just last year. The tight ends went in as order: Kate Stover, G. Scott Jr., and then Joe Royer, Bennett, Christian. Jelani Thurman did get some run and looked pretty impressive. The freshman that everybody is excited about. So that's really it on that part. The last thing I want to touch on is the quarterback battle. So everybody's making a big deal about this switch to number 33 for Devin Brown. I don't care. He's doing it to honor. Let me pull this back up as he talked about it. Slinging Sammy. So, whatever. I don't care. I think it's kind of cool. Whatever. I don't think that affects the quarterback battle at all. I do think Kyle McCord is going to be the starter here. Now, there are reports that they did do some running stuff. Kyle McCord was clocked over 20 miles per hour. All I'll say is that Devin Brown was not. So Kyle McCord kind of putting to bed a little bit of the narrative that he's not quite as athletic. But both of them looked fairly impressive out there in week one. It's going to be an interesting battle to watch. I think Kyle McCord's going to end up coming away with it, though. That will be it for today. We do have some other teams, and you know what? Since we were already on the phone, let's pull back up the list of teams that kicked off today and will kick off tomorrow. So, as I mentioned, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Northwestern, and Ohio all kicked off. Kansas State as well. Probably will be able to find out some stuff about Kansas State. Hopefully, there just wasn't much at the time of the recording. But tomorrow on the 8th, UAB Liberty kickoff. Then Thursday, LSU, Arkansas State. So we're going to get some other big teams kicking off. We will definitely try and do a video on Wednesday if we can find enough information on some of these other teams. If not, we'll push it till Thursday. Might just do a really long show on Fridays. We got a ton of teams kicking off Thursday and Friday. We'll see what happens, but I hope you guys enjoyed all that stuff. We'll be back again soon. Remember, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like this content. We'll catch you guys.